sixth day of the celebration of the Lord's victories through our ministry. Today, unlike the previous nights, the saints have gathered for a 24-hour praise siege from 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. the next day. The program follows the same slot as organized before. In the first slot, Pastor Vincent leads the saints to proclaim the dismantling of the host of wickedness Buddhism in all the nations of the world, and the choir leads the congregation to celebrate the Lord who is there in our midst. In the next slot, Pastor Nicolas Akwa emphasizes that God wants to dwell in our midst, and He dwells in the midst of the praises of His people. Therefore, celebrations are meant to raise praises to God so that He dwells in our midst. In Israel, God instituted a variety of celebration for that specific purpose. In the slot on the history of our ministry, Brother René Bikoy shares the history of the ministry after the 1986 crisis. He outlines the foundation of prayer that Brother Zach laid from the beginning. From there, he warns against the danger of a divided heart that has caused the downfall of many. In the history of the overthrow of satanic princes, Brother Adrian takes us in the overthrow of the satanic prince of Cameroon. He gives the background of the overthrow by presenting Brother Zach, the man that God prepared. He shares on the beginning of fasting intercession, its immediate fruit, and how it evolved. He then shares some visible impacts of the overthrow. These include the growth in numbers and house churches, the deposits of rare earths discovered, the increase in the literacy rate, among others. In the slot on the events surrounding the 13th of March 2009, Sister Colette Sisako shares some of Brother Zach's last words to some of his co-workers. She shares that of Sister Haren Barga, while the Crusaders could watch a video by the Brethren of Côte d'Ivoire. In the next slot, we keep going higher with the movement of CMFI. Brother Matthew Ngo shares some interesting anecdotes illustrating the movements within CMFI. These include the book ministry and the Thanksgiving praise and worship movement. He then outlines the evolution of the movement from a man to a ministry, to a church, to a work, to a community, to a movement, and to a spiritual nation. In the slot about the past 14 years, Pastor Sama comes back on the similarities between Brother Zach and Brother Theodore, particularly the fact that both of them were pastors' children. Then, from a teaching of Brother Zach, he explains that those whose parents were not believers become a blessing for their offsprings as they believe. The brethren then thank God for making them the first generation of believers in their families. He then says that Brother Theodore did not become leader because of these many similarities. Brother Theodore indeed was built to become a leader. And this training started with practical service, service in church, and service to man. The training also included an understanding of the work as a whole. Brother Theodore was indeed trained in virtually all the departments of the work. Pastor Sama explained that Brother Zach trained Brother Theodore. He disciplined him, trusted him, and gave him instructions for the continuity of the work. Next, the saints enter the new day around 6 a.m. by keeping watch on the ministry and then birthing funds for the work. As the siege continued, the different slot leaders concluded their slots one after another. It was the opportunity for Sister Colette Sisako to share more vivid testimonies of the last 4 months of Brother Zach before his homegoing. In this slot, Pastor Sama gave an account of the last journey of Brother Zach with the various stopovers, highlighting the victories of the Lord in Brother Zach's life throughout. Next, Brother Matthew Ngo outlined some movements within CMFI. These included prayer, fasting, revival, fasting intercession, holiness, disciple making, church planting, sign, wonders and miracles, healing and deliverance, literature, youth and students, children, giving, and missionary movements. In the slot on the past 14 years, but the Assembly Color led the saints to thank God for some landmarks in the past 14 years. This included the Proxel meeting in 2012, the headquarters development, the emergence of new departments, the camps, the literature war, among others. After this, the saints continued to raise thanksgiving to the Lord, who has backed Brother Theodore's leadership with abundant financial provision. They then birthed funds in foreign currency for world conquest. In the last slot, Sister Anne Clarice Ngonjok led the saints to thank God for His hand of protection on our ministry throughout the past 14 years. She then carried them in praying to watch on the vision and for general protection on the ministry. As the siege came to an end, the saints reconsecrated themselves and were blessed. They then shared a fellowship meal as they parted company.